Hey guys, how's it going? Karen Moxie from Pure Energy Fitness. I'm here to do our Super Saturday workout today, but we had a lot of requests for people that were asking for more modifications or kind of some learning experiences to go with the workouts that we had. So today's a little bit more of a clinic aspect. You need 4 pieces of equipment for today's workout. One is a roll of toilet paper. I'm cheating a little bit because mine's pre-wrapped. A strap. You can use a dog leash, yoga strap, even a scarf if you need to. Pinky ball, also a tennis ball will work. And then last is just kind of a moderate weight. This thing weighs like 20 pounds, I think. It's 8 kilograms. So yeah, we'll get started. Of any workout is a warm-up. Sometimes that can just include running on a treadmill for a few minutes, jumping rope, but really the idea of it is to get your brain and your body sort of into the game and knowing what's about to come. So we're going to do a little bit more of an in-depth workout today. We're going to really focus on increasing our mobility through our upper back and shoulders, and then also loosening up our hips and getting our legs ready to go for what's ahead. So the first exercise that we're going to do is a knee hug. Just standing nice and tall, working on your balance. Really work on keeping the upper body nice and tall, shoulders back, well balanced through that left foot that's on the ground. Once you're here, holding up nice and tall, then you're just gonna kind of lower down into a nice big lunge. Hands are gonna come down. Both hands are gonna come in between or inside that right leg, and then we're gonna reach up to the sky. Coming back down, you're just gonna shift back, lengthen through the hamstring on the back of the leg, coming back up, and then kicking off that back foot up into a nice tall position. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Nice and tall, engaging through the core. You may find that one side is easier to balance on than the other. Then lowering down into that deep lunge. Spending some time down here, bringing those hands to the inside of that left foot, lengthening up, and then coming back down. Extending that leg, getting that nice hamstring stretch through the back, and then kicking back into a standing position. Next exercise is going to be an inchworm. So you're just going to stay in this standing position, bend forward, trying to keep the legs as straight as possible, and then at the last moment, bending the knees, coming down to the floor, walking those hands out into a plank, dropping the knees to the floor, and then dropping the belly back down. Lifting up, a little shift from side to side, pressing back up, and then walking your hands back into the feet. So you can do both of those a few times, 1 or 2 times, just to start to get that heart rate up just a little bit and get the blood flowing. So the next exercise is going to be with the toilet paper. Now we're going to start getting our brain working, getting a little bit of reaction going into our bodies. And so all you're going to do is just focus on catching with alternating sides. Once you get into it, if you want, you can add a squat to make it a little more challenging. Or even a lunge. So now my heart rate is up just slightly. I'm focused on what's ahead. And I'm also getting my legs and upper body warmed up. So you can do all of those a few times. You can add a little bit of intensity to those. And then you're basically ready to take on the next round of exercises. So for this first group of exercises, all you're gonna need is a kettlebell or a weight of any sort. We're gonna do goblet squats, happy crabs, and broad jumps, and we're gonna do 10 reps of each on all of those. You can really do as many rounds as you want. I would say 3 to 5 rounds of each. And I'm just gonna go through 1 round right now. So bringing that kettlebell or other weight up to the goblet squat, squatting down, pressing up. 2. So you don't necessarily need a weight for this. If your knees or your hips are not open enough, you don't need to come all the way down either. Sometimes if your ankles are not as mobile, then you may not be able to get that movement, that flexion. So then you'll find yourself coming back and bending over. And what we really want to end with is dropping the hips into the floor, knees are bent, ankles are bent, and then driving back up. Let's do 2 more. So you'll do 10 reps of those. Then from there, we have something called the happy crab. So coming down onto your backside, finding balance as you lift the hips, you're gonna lift your left arm and your right leg. So reaching up, tapping in the center, alternating from side to side. You're gonna do 10 on each side. So you may have shoulder issues that don't allow you to come up in this position, or you may have wrist issues. If that's the case, then you can either just lift a leg, or you can just come to a position here. We're really trying to get those shoulders back to get that movement and mobility to happen. And then you can just reach up and down, up and down. Alternating sides, same thing, 10 on each side. All right, last exercise is the broad jump. Oftentimes when we have people come in, they're not comfortable doing a broad jump because it's scary. It's a lot of time off the floor. But there's a way to progress the broad jump. The idea is that you're just getting some plyometric or explosive movement as you come across the floor. I'm gonna start back just a little bit. So a typical broad jump, sitting back into the heels and the hips, exploding, landing heel toe, exploding, landing heel toe. But if you want to progress that down, you can just take it, same movement, but take it smaller. A lot of times people feel silly when they're doing this, but honestly, this translates to a bigger jump, which translates into the full broad jump. If you can't get that initial basic movement down, you're never gonna get any stronger to get into the big, full broad jumps. So definitely work on that. Don't be afraid to get both feet off the ground, even if it's just for a very short time. All right, so that's round 1 of exercises. I'll show you what we have for round 2. All right guys, so the next group of exercise we have is going to be hopovers, and we're gonna use a strap. And then I got a toilet paper for our second exercise, and then you don't need anything for your third exercise. So hopovers. Basically a hopover can be done over anything. It can be done over something higher or hurdle, but it's just up, over, up, and over. As you're coming over, we're bringing the knees up high and really flexing through the hips, engaging through that core to get those knees up, and over. So this is a lot like a broad jump. What's the progression for this if you're not comfortable jumping off the ground? The common thing that people pick is a step over. The problem is it's a totally different exercise. So instead, what I would suggest is just a smaller hop over. So that could mean coming kind of small from side to side, or it could mean even getting rid of the strap altogether, picking a spot, a line on the floor, and then over and over, back and forth. The second exercise is going to be a toilet paper toss in a plank position. So I saw a challenge online earlier this week of how many tosses you can do, I think in 30 seconds or 60 seconds, but it got me thinking that this is a great just exercise in general. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come into a plank, lift that toilet paper, throw it up. Oh! Okay, you're gonna have to edit this out. So you're gonna come into a plank position, and then I like to come back and do a little bit of a power stance because these are way harder than they look, and I'm not gonna talk while I do this. So, truly, I suck at these. I didn't have any idea how hard they were gonna be until I added them to my workout for the day. So play around with that. You'll find that one side is definitely harder to catch on than the other. But yeah, they're a challenge. So last exercise is the V up to toe touch. So you're gonna come into a extended position with the arms and the legs. Then you're gonna alternate, lift up, toe to hand, lift up, toe to hand. Alternating sides. So if you need to make an adjustment for this or a progression, take one foot down, reach up, try and touch that toe, and then put the other foot down, reach up, touch the toe. You can further progress downward by using your arm to help push you up for each one. And that's the end of the second group of exercises. So for our last group of exercises for the day, all you need is that weight again. Once again, I'm using the kettlebell. We're gonna do a single leg deadlift. Right leg is gonna be planted. Left leg is gonna lift off the ground. We're gonna hinge at the hip with a nice flat back and then press back up. Nice and tall. Try and keep that foot off the ground the whole time, keeping your balance, and back up. If you want to make a progression for this, if you're having trouble with your balance, you can take one foot to the floor, or your back foot to the floor, and then same hinge forward. You may not be able to go as low, that's okay, and then back up. My knee wants to lock, and I'm trying not to let it. There we go, that's better. Up and down. As you get more comfortable, you can once again try lifting that leg. You don't need a weight for this, it just makes it a little bit more challenging and sometimes allows you to focus a little bit more on your center point. Exercise number 2 is a jump lunge. So arms are back, shoulders are back, arms are lifted, nice and tall into that lunge position. You're gonna come down, 90-degree angle in your front leg, 90-degree angle in your back leg. You're gonna use those arms to help you switch. Hop, switch, hop, switch. Finding a good progression for this. The longer your lunge, the safer your knees are, which is counterintuitive sometimes. But if you're having a hard time getting comfortable with that hop switch, keeping that lunge nice and long, coming up, step, big lunge, up, step, big lunge. If this is easy for you, then you can shorten up your lunge and work on the hop switch. Just don't go as deep. When your feet are really close together like this and then you try to go into a lunge, I no longer have a 90-degree angle in my knees. I'm too close together and I'm getting too much of a shearing force on my legs. So instead, I'll lengthen those legs out again. Hop switch, hop switch. Last exercise is a rotating plank. So coming into a plank position, you're gonna reach up, nice and tall, come back down, rotate to the other side. If you're not comfortable being on your wrists, you can come down into a plank, rotate up, come down, rotate. You can also drop the knees and rotate. Keep in mind, if you do drop the knees, your rotation is not going to be as big, but that's totally fine. If you're in that plank position and you're solid with that basic rotation, then you can always add a push-up. And that's it. That's all 3 exercises. We're going to move into the myofascial release portion of the workout. So we've got 4 stretching sequences that we're going to do just to finish up this workout today. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more athletic, a little bit more agile, and may have some ideas on things to work on as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is just loosen up that low back and open up that hip mobility. You're going to come onto your back, onto the floor, and extend your left leg straight. Draw your right knee into the chest. Make sure that both hips and both shoulders are nice and flat on the floor. Then you're going to take the left hand, bring that right leg across the body, and rotate over. So you should feel a stretch through the back side of the hip, and then also possibly into the front side of the shoulder on the right side. Head placement can be wherever you need it to be to try and keep the neck as relaxed as possible. You can also take that right arm and reach it up behind you or bring it down towards the hip. You can also do some movement here, bringing this around, and there we're getting a little bit of hip mobility and a little bit of shoulder mobility all in one. Do it on both sides a couple times and you'll be good to go. Then from there, we're gonna do something called the gate pose. So you're gonna come up onto a half kneeling position, and then you're gonna extend your, let's do left leg out. This is one of my favorite yoga poses. So left leg out, left hand on the hip, reaching that right arm up and over, and really lifting through the body. I'll show you this in a front and a side position. Feeling that stretch come over, then coming back to center, and then you're actually gonna come to the floor. Put some weight into that left foot, and then reach up and lengthen. You really wanna lengthen also through the back of your spine. Make sure that you're not cinching up through your hips or your back. So coming back up, I'll do that on the other side facing the opposite direction. So right hand on the hip, right leg is extended out, lifting up and over, really trying to open up through that chest, and then bringing that hand down to the floor, planting the arm, and reaching up and over. Lots of lengthening through here, pressing those hips up to the sky. You can do those a few times on each side, and just really think about keeping it nice and slow and keeping that chest open and hips parallel and square. So from there, we're gonna do a stretch that is gonna require you to have some kind of elevated position. So I'm gonna use this box. Coming into the preparation for a child's pose, you're gonna bring your hands out in front of you, take those feet and knees nice and wide, and then come down. Wherever your shoulder mobility is gonna dictate the height of your box and also the position of your hands. So you may wanna come out a little farther, let the head relax down. Right now my hands are facing downward, so you can also place them upward and change up the stretch. If this is too much of a flexion for your low back or your shoulders, you can also just do it straight on the floor. Coming forward with the forehead, reaching out with the hands. If it's too much on your knees, you can also always place a pillow in between the back of the thigh and the calf, and that'll support you a little bit so that you won't have so much pressure on your knees. All right, the last exercise for the day is gonna be people that have a lot of stability and mobility issues in their shoulders. I raised my hand on that one, I've got issues. So this is gonna open up that pectoral and shoulder area of your body. So you're gonna take that pinky ball or tennis ball, and what we're gonna do, you'll see me on the ground in a second, but just doing some massage kind of up into the top of the pectoral muscle where it attaches to the top of the shoulder, and just taking some time here. So what that looks like is coming down onto the floor, onto your belly, and then just placing that, making sure that your head is nice and relaxed, and then just working through and exploring that movement. This should be a hurt so good movement, not a hurt so bad that you have to peel yourself off the ceiling. So you don't always have to have your whole body weight on that ball. You can lift off a little bit and just ease off on the intensity. Take some time here. I would say maybe 5 or 6 minutes on each side, and you may be amazed by how open you feel through your shoulders once you finish with this. Those are all my exercises for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed the class. Let me know how it goes.